John Isner.
Happy Easter!
Happy Easter! Well, I took my last trip over that bridge, over the Rickenbacker Causeway, back to Miami from Tennis Island. I made the long trek through the swamp, through the Everglades, in the dark, in the rain, and the storms, and in the sunshine too. All the way, a little past Tampa, to Clearwater, Florida, right here, my grandparents' house, Ga and Poppy, as they're affectionately referred to. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis, the fastest growing tennis talk show in the world. I'm your host, Matt Bradshaw. Your co-host, Mr. Goat, is not here, the talking tennis cat who loves Roger Federer, but Charlie was slated, my grandparents' cat. Charlie was slated. He's a hunter cat. He's not a tennis cat. He's actually a hunter cat. I don't know what happened to him. He was here. He was ready to go. We contracted him to sit right there and co-host the show today. Not sure why things fell through with Charlie. That was Lucas, a fan of the show, who of all people just happened to be sitting right behind me at the tournament. He said, "Hey Matt," and I said, "Come on over here. Let's open the show up together." It was a very good match. Today's show, we got a very exciting show. Of course, I'm going to try my best to get out of here in a relatively timely manner, but you know me, we're probably going to go late. We've got a stack of news stories down there. We've got some stuff on Djokovic, Nadal, Agassi. Let's just talk about Nadal first. Nadal is #1 in the world now. As of today, he takes it back. Captain Gene sent me a tweet, so let's pull that up. At Coffee Break Tens, T-E-N-S. Of course, you can follow me at Coffee Break, T-E-N-S, on the Twitters. He had said basically that Nadal was guaranteed to take over McEnroe's record, but no. He had to correct himself. Correction, Nadal will tie John McEnroe at 170 weeks as #1 ranked player. If he wins Monte Carlo, he'll become the standalone 6th best with this record. So he'll be the 6th highest total weeks at #1 with 171 weeks. Of course, he has to win Monte Carlo. We've got a news story, put it up on the screen. Here is the gist of it. Carlos Moya, former world #1 and Grand Slam champion, he has been coaching Nadal, and basically he sounds a little nervous. To me, it's not too big of a deal. They're just saying basically Rafa's still not healthy. Even all this time later, of course, he's going to be playing. I got a message from somebody who bought tickets and sent me a great picture. I'll do it in the next show. I'll find it. Somebody sent me a message on Instagram. You can follow me at Coffee Break Tennis on Instagram. And it was a really cool stadium where it looked like, somewhere where the Roman gladiators would do battle, wherever Nadal is going to be playing Davis Cup. So that's a week or two away. It's coming up pretty soon. Carlos Moya still a little iffy, a little nervous. Do we really think he's going to win Monte Carlo? I think it's a lot to ask. I think it's a lot to ask just for Rafa to be healthy. Let's move on. We're also going to talk about the Isner match, some takeaways from Isner Zverev. Since I was there watching the match, I had lots of thoughts, wrote down tons of match notes. We'll show you some highlights from the match, and I'll talk about some of the keys to how Isner won it and what went wrong for Sasha. But before I read any news or I go through highlights or the match, let's look at some comments. Oh, and give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing, or just hit subscribe down below. Smash it with an overhead. So let's go over this one first. Since this first comment below your thoughts, whatever you want to talk about. I read all the comments. I even try to write back to all of them. Greg Richards commented, Svindle. I like this. Svindle could be interesting. So, of course, that's the mix of the names, Lindell and Zverev. So, Svindle, this is what we got on Svindle. Lindell, not Svindle, who is based in Florida, was at the Miami Open and watched Zverev play at the tournament. There were suggestions by ESPN television commentators that Lindell's looking at joining the team. Zverev, this is where it gets a little interesting to me. Zverev, who was coached by his father, recently split with Juan Carlos Ferrero on what appeared to be a contentious terms. 20-year-old cited a conflict following the Australian Open, saying that former Grand Slam champion Juan Carlos Ferrero had been very disrespectful to his team. But Ferrero spoke in Spanish press of Zverev's unprofessionalism, which the player has denied. There were also recent suggestions that the German could take on Boris Becker. So I was thinking about this. Since Sasha travels everywhere with the family, how could Juan Carlos Ferrero how could he have disrespected the team? And I think it was something like this. Remember, when we went through that article a few weeks ago when the news hit, and we said that Ferrero basically said that he lacks respect. He lacks respect and work ethic. He was waking up too late, showing up to practices late. Ferrero took a tone with the parents that the parents did not like and basically said, look, your kid, he needs to grow up and show some respect. And you're the parents, so it's your job. And they said, hey, screw you, buddy. You don't come in here and work for this team and tell us what to do. We got him this far. You know, something like that. I don't know, comment below, whatever. Let your imagination run wild. I was giggling earlier thinking about that conversation a little. Makes sense. Things can get pretty tricky. This one's from Vimal Haridas. Let me know if I said it right. Vimal? Is it Vimal? Happy for Isner. Never really watched much of his matches until this week. Hey, when Roger and Rafa and everyone else is out, we're going to be watching a lot of odd matches we never thought we'd watch. Looks like a really cool guy. He reminded me of Roddick at times. Well, that serve. That serve. I was going to say it was better than Roddick. Well, you know, Roddick's had some pretty spectacular serving days. By the way, we really appreciate you taking time to post these videos even in the middle of the trip. Thank you, Vimal. You're right. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of work in the middle of a vacation. This is not a vacation. I mean, I'm having fun, but I'm always having fun doing coffee break tennis. All right, there's another thing, a little mistake correction. Well, I didn't make a mistake. I said I couldn't remember his name last show. I said the other guy from Tennis TV, not Robbie Koenig. The other guy, Dadhish Abhishek, commented below on the last video. That commentator was Nick Lester, and he's darn good too. And Arash Badley writes, I still think the reason why Roger lost to Del Potro was the lack of game plan. The Isner game plan would have worked if Roger could only have played some serves into Del Po's body. I still can't digest the Indian Wells final, and worst of all, no Roger Federer for 3 months. Yeah, I know, it's going to be rough, 90 days. Still think if John could crack the Zverev backhand, he would probably win the match because Sasha's putting everything on his backhand side. I think this comment actually happened after Sasha won the first set and didn't look like Isner would win. I saw some patterns in the second set where I started thinking, oh, there's a chance that Isner comes back and wins this. It seems like Isner was a little nervous in that first set tiebreak. They both came out playing pretty well. And in that first tiebreak, Isner's up, what was it, 4-3? And then he loses 4 points in a row. We're going to get into the highlights. We'll get more into what happened there. But I just thought that was interesting that he said that it seemed like Roger didn't have a game plan. Comment below if you felt like Roger didn't have the right game plan against Del Potro. I know a lot of people might say that Roger shouldn't have tried to go forehand to forehand so much. Anyways, I thought this was a very timely comment because I'm actually very happy to announce that I will be working with Fuzzy Yellow Balls. They basically invented online tennis instruction. So me and Peter Freeman, Crunch Time Coaching, we do tennis instruction. Oh, by the way, before I tell you, comment below. I've been very curious about this for a long time, so I'd really appreciate it if everyone out there, no matter what you comment on today's video, let me know, are you a tennis player or do you just watch tennis? And also, you know, like I was talking about Lucas, he was in the intro, I met him in Miami, just happened to see me, he likes the show. We hung out and chat for a while. And he said the funny thing was he started playing tennis after he had been watching tennis for a while. And he felt like he had learned a lot just from watching it. And I do agree watching tennis really will help you a lot when you want to learn tennis. And so I'm interested. Comment below if you play tennis or you only watch it or if you do both. And tell me a little bit about why and what came first, the chicken or the egg. Did you play tennis or did you watch tennis? I pretty much played tennis and then went home and was so obsessed with tennis after I played it for the first time, I scanned the channels until I found Venus Williams playing Lindsay Davenport at Wimbledon. So I pretty much started both at the same time. I was just all around obsessed immediately. So if you're one of those people that watch CBT who play tennis, or maybe you don't play and you're just starting, listen to what we've got cooking up here with Fuzzy Yellow Balls and Will Hamilton. Do you feel like you sometimes beat yourself? So many players obsess over technique. They think, you know, I made all these unforced errors. If I just clean up my technique, I can cut down the errors and I can dominate the opponents at my club, my neighborhood, whatever. But then we scratch our heads when you go out and you play a pusher and then you lose to someone who has horrible technique. They just hack the ball back over the net, consistent enough for you to hit enough unforced errors to lose. But if you look at a soccer team, right, they run specific plays, strategies. That's why I get on this whole thing, because did Roger not have the right game plan against Del Potro? It's a good question. Soccer teams, they have game plans that they run to score a goal. Same with football teams, basketball teams. But in tennis, people don't, especially singles. In doubles, we get a little bit more into this. But in singles, a lot of tennis players don't really think about this stuff. They don't have go-to plays that they like to run all the time. Well, over at Fuzzy Yellow Balls, they recently did a study that shows 85% of unforced errors are usually because of decision errors, poor shot-making selection. So if any of this interests you, you're going to be very interested to hear that my friend Will Hamilton over at Fuzzy Yellow Balls, he has put together a free video series that is going to custom build a playbook just for you. Remember, the research shows that 85% of these unforced errors are from decision making, poor decision making. Well, when Will Hamilton takes you through his free video series, he's going to show you plays that you can run custom built for your game using your strengths that are already in place so that you can cut down on those unforced errors. So click down below in the description, check out the link. I think if you're a tennis player, you're going to be very interested in this video series that Will's put together. And I got to say, it's very good what Will has done over at Fuzzy Yellow Balls. I've been watching his videos for years and years. I remember when he first came out. I loved watching the slow motion highlights he would put out of Roger Federer on the practice court. That stuff really helped me with my game, of course. All right, let's go through the big stack of news articles we've got down below. Let's save the Isner stuff for last. Some of you might have already heard so much stuff about Isner. I do have a somewhat unique take on it. Of course, I was sitting there. First up, we got Djokovic news. Djokovic has been struggling with a serious elbow problem for months now. Of course, things get worse when he loses in the Australian Open, loses Indian Wells first round at Miami. Something former Serbian tennis player Radmilo Armanulic. Something that Serbian tennis player Radmilo Armanulic thinks is the right decision. So Radmilo was a Davis Cup coach. Also, he worked with lots of young players that he developed talent. Noted Goran Ivanisevic. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. So this Radmilo guy, he knows a thing or two about tennis. What did he say? He said, "I was opposed to that cooperation since the first day, because since day one is what he's. I was Do I have to correct everyone's English? What's the matter with me? I was opposed to that cooperation since the first day because he didn't do anything for Novak. I think," this is from Tennis World USA, by the way. "I think Novak helped," or was this an Express? This is from Express, but the original quote's from Tennis World USA. I know I haven't used an Express article in a while, but this one really caught my eye because I agree with this guy, Radmilo. "I think that Novak helped him more because he made Agassi a coach." There's a lot right there. I was thinking the same thing. Who is Agassi coach? You know, somebody, I said it in the last video, somebody tweeted me that Djokovic has lost an incredible inspiration and mentor and coach and friend, and he's just going to be lost to that. Look, Agassi did nothing for Djokovic. If anything, Djokovic put Agassi back in the news by making him one of these super coaches, you know, just like Lindell, except the thing is Agassi got 0 results. Nothing. Radmilo's so right. The guy who worked with tons of tennis talent, coaching his whole life practically, he left, Agassi left, because Agassi did not know what to do. He never worked as a coach, no experience, didn't know how to help Novak. Novak plays from the baseline. This is where I'm a little off from what I would say. Novak plays from the baseline better than Agassi, and his return is better. How can Agassi help him? Of course, the pathetic quote from Agassi. "Djokovic and I agree to disagree. I wish him only the best moving forward," Agassi told ESPN. "With only the best intentions, I tried to help Novak. We far too often found ourselves agreeing to disagree." Yeah, Agassi, such an easy guy to get along with. Such an agreeable fellow, Agassi. How about you take a Stefan Edberg forehand volley? All right, Agassi, I'm going to overhead smash you like Pete Sampras did all those years before. Get out of here, Agassi. Terrible coach. Great player. Enjoyed his game. Really enjoyed watching him lose to Federer in the US Open Final 2005. It's probably my favorite Agassi moment. Next up, we got Del Potro. So everyone out there who said Del Potro is about to dominate the clay. Here's the quote from Del Potro. "I'm not thinking about tennis anymore." Del Potro told the press in Miami, where he was topped in straight sets by John Isner, the champion, of course. "It was enough. Enough is enough. I would love to keep playing in this level on the clay tournaments, but I don't know when I'm going to start because I need to train even better than hard court. I want to stay healthy during the whole year, so maybe I quit a few tournaments at the beginning, then be ready for Paris, or maybe a tournament before." So basically what everyone wanted Roger to do, that's what Delpo's going to do. Play one and then go to the French. Delpo's right, though. He's smart to do this. If anyone has a problem with it, I think Delpo is another guy like Fed. He's put in his time. He's been through heck in a hand-washing basin, and he earned it. He earned the right to skip this stuff. I think he's played the required 600 matches, which Roger's like doubled. He's over 30, right? Delpo's 31. He's like my age. I don't know. Even if he's not, whatever. They need him. We need the big names. I will have a good vacation. This is where I think Delpo's English is like saying, you know, it sounds weird in English. Maybe the translation, you know, maybe it sounded normal before. I will have a good vacation, maybe a week or more days, going home to stay in Tandil, eating barbecues, spending time with my family and friends, and don't talk about tennis for a couple of weeks. Hey, this guy earned it. Mr. Goat! I mean, Charlie. Where is Charlie? All right, and finally, last thing today, let's go through the Isner stuff. Let's go through my match notes first. Then we'll do a little thing from Mr. Bodo. So run the highlight reel, and I'm just going to talk while it plays. So right here we see excellent movement to the net and an exquisite volley from John Isner. Of course, Sasha wins 3 points in a row. He's got all these set points. What does he do? He starts developing this trend I saw throughout the match that eventually backfired on him. He picks on the Isner backhand. Watch how it works out on this first set point. And we go to the second set where Isner takes a page out of Roger's book. Remember, check out Fuzzy Yellow Balls to get your own playbook. And he's playing very aggressive, taking the ball as early as possible. Isner finally breaks. He's got a chance to win the second set, but there's a break point that he has to save. This is one of the best points of the entire match. Check this one out. Does this guy not have heart? These giraffes out there fighting with so much heart. It's fun to watch giraffes play tennis. So John has a chance to win the set, but look at this insane point that Sasha wins. Oh, go back. Look at this kid. You see this kid here jumping up and down? Yeah, he was on the Jumbotron. I remember seeing that kid. It was Friday or Sunday. But I really remember him because I got in a fight with him in the concession stand line. We were arguing over the last box of popcorn, but I was first in line. If I'm in front of you, you have no claim to the popcorn, kid. The kid had the nerve to say to me, "Who do you think you are? Roger Federer or something with your RF hat?" I said, "No, I don't think I'm Roger Federer." And he said, "Why do you think you can take popcorn away from a little kid like me, huh?" Then he made matters worse by going on to say, "You know what, you kind of look like Roger Federer." I said, "Really? Do I look like Roger Federer?" He said, "Yeah, you look like a chubby version of Roger Federer." Woo! Got me worked up, that little kid. But you know what? I did the right thing. I think I handled the situation best way possible. I went up to that kid and I karate chopped him right between the eyes, and I took his popcorn and went back to my seat. So there you go, lesson learned. Do I have to say just joking? Do I have to? Of course, look what Isner does after that happens. He goes right back to the game plan. Look at this. Sasha says, "Okay, we're going to get in this backhand to backhand business again." And Isner says, "No, not today. Not today, Mr. Backhand." So in the highlights, I didn't see it all, but trust me, this backhand to backhand thing kept happening. Zverev eventually, see, this is what happened to me. In the third set, Isner was more brave. Sasha played some brave points, but eventually he just found himself content to roll balls to Isner's backhand until this final moment on this play where Isner knew, this is where the veteran stuff kicks in for Isner. He says, "You know what? This guy's nervous. It's break point. If I break, he knows I'm going to hold and win the match." So he's very nervous, talking about Sasha. And Isner says, "I'm just going to hit this lollipop slice to the forehand, make him hit a forehand with nothing on it." Look what happens.
The first break of the final set goes the way of John Isner.
And of course, Sasha was right to smash the racket. I would have done the same thing. In fact, I smashed a racket just a couple of weeks ago for playing poor tennis, just like Sasha. So I'm not going to criticize the guy. Hit the music because I'm all done, but let's read a little bit from this Peter Bodo article. We're going to be in Orlando tomorrow night, so we'll do another show in time for Thursday. Comment below if you think I should do a little history, a little coffee break tennis history about my experiences going to Miami. Let me just give you a little bit from Mr. Bodo's article. The sudden resurgence of energy and will wasn't the only interesting takeaway in the final. Isner had mentored Zverev, 20, when the German was just 14 and training at the same Saddlebrook facility near Tampa, Florida. That's right where I am right now. I'm just half an hour away from there. It was unique that someone I'm so much older than and had practiced with when he was a kid is now one of the best players in the world, said Isner. I never imagined I could play him in a match like this. It's crazy for Sasha and I to share the court in the last singles final of the tournament. Remember, comment below if I should do a little history piece on Miami. Isner remembers Zverev as the little kid who constantly trailed around his older brother Misha, but at some point one of Isner's coaches told him, watch out for that kid. Isner got curious, sought out the young talent Zverev, started practicing with him. By age 15, according to Isner, the little kid was already beaten. How about that? Thanks for watching Coffee Break Tennis. We'll see you on Thursday morning. See ya!